Well. I am Theo Lloyd Hughes, and welcome back to Full Time Review presented by Amazon Prime. Your look back at the women's soccer weekend in the NWSL and beyond. Coming up on today's show, look, we would be lying if we weren't still mentally at Marta's 96th minute equaliser for Brazil in the Copa America Femenina final. So we're going to be getting into one of the greatest continental finals of all time with Melanie, Anzidei and Tamerra Griffin, understanding how Colombia somehow managed to fail to win despite taking the lead 3 times, and what it means for Brazil to win a record 9th South American title. So much to get into, so let's get into it after this.
All right, moving things slightly to obviously the Brazil side of things. They lifted the trophy for a 9th time. Marta, star of the show, she ends up winning player of the tournament, gets a brace in this one. Not only did she have that equalising goal, she scores, I don't know how you would describe it, Melanie, Tamerra, a sort of header flick. I couldn't really work out when it happened, what part of her body it comes off, but she actually scores an extra time to make it 4-3 to Brazil before Leicy Santos scores an absolutely ridiculous free kick to make it 4-4. But sticking with Marta for a second here, she doesn't need anything to be added to her legacy, and yet this game, this tournament, coming out of retirement, going back to South America, playing for Brazil when no one thought she would again, and then having this performance in the final, that goal, that equaliser in the 96th minute, like I said, I've got chills even just thinking about it. Like, it was amazing, wasn't it? And it adds to, like I said, a player that doesn't need any more kind of, she's had all the flowers. We know this game owes her a huge amount of debt, and yet this was something special, wasn't it?
Yes, 2 years away to the World Cup, because let's just skip there, because the thing that happens with each of these performances that Marta has, that question of will she or won't she with the World Cup, it just gets reignited, and it's like we all get sent into like hysteria all over again, because when you look at the product on the field, why wouldn't we thirst for that? Why wouldn't we beg? Why wouldn't we dream? And I'm about to say something probably a little bit extra, but it's been a gluttonous summer, so whatever, stay with me. But I'm thinking of the way that Marta will toy with the ball on the field. I feel like that's what's happening with our emotions right now in her decision about whether she's going to play in the World Cup or not, because every time she steps on the field, magic happens. It just so happened, I think, that in this final, the magic came at the service of her foot with those goals. But, throughout the tournament, like you said, Melanie, the leadership, that sort of gravitational pull, even things happening off the field that I'm sure we'll get to, when she opens her mouth, people listen. And it's been interesting to see other players sort of step into those leadership roles, but she is just someone who, and I feel like people say this all the time when she plays, but you just feel so grateful to be alive in the era of Marta.
Yeah, it just feels like she's there to handhold when they need it. She just was this lifeline, Could you imagine just being Colombia in that moment, knowing, oh shoot, Marta still isn't in this game? It's just, and like you said, her ability on the pitch, why not be there when you are so able and so willing, and just the magic is still there, which at 39 years old, oh my God, I hope I am, just the energy to be able to do that is not easy. And I don't know. One of the things about Marta that really sticks out to me in this tournament, and I'm so grateful that she was there, was because of all the off-field things that we've seen in this competition. And like you said, Tamerra, she has this voice that when she speaks, people listen. And I think that did motivate and it did inspire, and it did offer, kind of the, okay, you can speak to a lot of other players, because when she spoke, other people spoke out. And I think that was necessary in this tournament, especially whether Marta is going to be at the World Cup in 27. She'll still be there. She'll still have a presence, even if she's on or off the pitch. But just kind of being able to kind of leave South American football in a better place, getting ready for it, whether that's the game on the pitch or just the things off of it, I think is such, again, the legacy of Marta. What more will she do? It doesn't end.
Yeah, she doesn't necessarily have to do anything else either. I think what I enjoyed about this final, and it being kind of like the Marta final, if you like, although there were so many starring characters, is that even if she doesn't make the World Cup, we had that night in Quito. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Sounds like the beginning of a novel. Or the title, the night in Quito.
Because I feel like I think, you know, this is her fourth Copa America, I think, as a player, and you know, not all of those would have had as much attention in terms of broadcast or media as this one. So I think her getting to be like the star in that moment in this one, even, you know, I think it was really special.
Yeah.
Any other kind of thoughts maybe on what this title means for Brazil? We've said it, you know, a few times, a 9th title for Brazil. This is very much their competition, but you know, Meg mentioned after the last podcast we had about England winning the Euros, Spain winning the World Cup, USA winning the Olympics. We now have Brazil winning Copa America, Nigeria winning WAFCON. We started to see the kind of the elite of these tournaments kind of come together. So what did it mean to you for Brazil to win this one?
I mean, it obviously solidifies their legacy. I mean, in South American football specifically, I mean, they are the team to chase, they are the team to beat, and they're the North Star to kind of strive towards, right? But it is interesting because I think this specific final symbolizes how it wasn't easy. It wasn't a Copa America, you know, this wasn't something that they just won. Yes, maybe leading into it, there were a lot of, you know, disparities between the competition and Brazil and some other teams there. But Colombia didn't make it easy, and I think that speaks to kind of the growth that's kind of coming. And that's, you know, thanks to Brazil and everything that they've brought to this game. But I think it also kind of symbolizes that next chapter in a way. So, and I think that's a good thing, and I think that's good for Marta too. When at the end of the game, you know, she went and consoled the Colombian players. You know, I'm sure, I would love to know what she told them, but I'm sure, you know, she wants everyone to kind of grow. You know, and I think that's kind of, you know, the other side of the legacy of what Brazil has brought to this game.
I agree. I think this final had like a plot thickening aspect to it, both because of how tight it was. I mean, don't forget, Colombia led 3 times. I'm sure Colombians would love to forget that they led 3 times in the game, but for the purposes of the archive, they led 3 times. They scored first. Brazil had never been scored first on
since 2014. I read 2014, that in Melanie's piece.
Over a decade.
Yeah, 11 years without going behind in Copa America.
Yeah, like those are not small feats. And I think when you consider the dynasty that is Brazil, you do have to kind of reconfigure the way that you measure progress and the way that you measure parity. So the fact that I believe it was Paraguay who scored on Brazil when they played them, like they've conceded a few times, you know, scoreless against Colombia in the group stages. They are not infallible. And that's where, for me, the sort of like the plot thickens comes in, because yes, of course, this is a lot for them to build on going toward 2027, but it's also a lot for Colombia to build on. It's also, this tournament, a lot for Venezuela to build on. It's also a lot for Paraguay to build on. I thought that they had really promising campaigns in this tournament. And I can only hope, because we know how things go with most of these federations, not just in South America, but all over the world, that they also see the potential and they also are inspired to build on the momentum. But it made me really excited for 2027 because Colombia exposed Brazil. I think their defense still has a lot of question marks around it. You know, at the end of the day, they conceded 4 goals. One of them was an unfortunate, I'm sure Brazilians also don't want to talk about Tarciane's own goal, which was like that mind-blowing emoji, how did this happen moment. But I think if you are listening to this episode and didn't watch the game, if you watched the game, it should make you very, very excited for 2027 and definitely excited about the future of South American football.
Melanie, I'll give you the final word on that then.
This tournament is what South American football can be, what it could be, what it should be. This final, just the turnout, the excitement, the attention, just even on social media, just seeing everyone paying attention and excited for this. I kept thinking throughout the game that it's like the players delivered. The players did exactly what they're supposed to do and give us entertainment, give us a beautiful product on the pitch to watch and enjoy and cry, get emotional, just all the beautiful things that soccer like gives us. And then I would love for organizers, federations, and kind of to do their part too. And I think this speaks to the potential of what it can be. and what it could be without the proper investment. So could only imagine if everything kind of comes together, people kind of take a beat, kind of dissect what went wrong in this tournament and improve everything, looking ahead to 2027 and working together and making sure that in South America, just the investment is there, because it's not there, and look how great the game is, right? So I would love for it to be so much better, and the potential, oh my God, I want to see another game like this again. I'm sure we will.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah.
One of the all-time finals. Yes or no question. I'll close out with this. We'll keep it fun as we finish our Copa America section. Leicy Santos, best free kick taker in the world right now. Tamerra, yes, no?
Ooh, I hope Yasmin doesn't hear this because hers are also beautiful. Ooh, I have to respect the winners of this tournament. So I won't say an outright yes, but her goal was one of the most, definitely top 3 most beautiful goals of the tournament, I'll say, because again, I'm thinking of Marta's.
Melanie, Leicy Santos, best free kick taker in the world right now?
I hate yes or no's. I do.
Me too.
Well, Tamerra didn't stick to the yes or no, so you're off the hook.
Rebel with me, Melanie.
I think of Yasmin. I think of her scoring 2 identical penalty kicks in one game. But Leicy Santos being able to do this under this amount of pressure in this game, in that environment, I'm gonna have to give her a yes just because of that.
Yeah, we saw one of those for the Washington Spirit earlier on in the season as well, and I'm sure there'll be many more from the Colombian Wonder further down the season. Tamerra, Melanie, thanks so much for getting into the Copa America final with me.
Well, there you have it. The NWSL is back underway. Matchday 14 is in the books, and we have 12 more games left to look forward to in the regular season. I personally cannot wait to see what's going to happen in the Shield race, the playoff race, at the bottom, who can make a run for it in the second half of the season, what superstars are going to put their names into history. We have so much to look forward to, so thanks for being here along the way. And finally, in case you didn't know, The Athletic has partnered with Yahoo Sports to provide free best-in-class coverage of women's sports. So you can go check out the Women's Sports Hub at sports.yahoo.com/women-sports. I've been your host today, Theo Lloyd Hughes. Thanks so much for listening to Full Time Review, sponsored by Amazon Prime. Full Time doesn't happen without the producer, me, video producer Leah Griffin, and our esteemed executive producer, Emily Olsen. We can't wait to see you soon.